Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, the couple of things you said are really impressive. That Korea story is something that needs to be repeated again and again in America. We always beat ourselves up and don't talk about the successes. That's a tremendous success, and it's kind of lost in the fog of stuff that goes on here. But to be able to say that not only did we do that, and admittedly we spent a lot of blood and a lot of treasure getting there, but not only did we do that, but the fact that the Koreans recognize that we did that and give credit to the United States for doing that is really an impressive fact. The second one that struck me in the comments that you made was the comparison of what we do compared to what China does. And your characterization of China as being the largest debt collector in the world, I'd never heard before, but is obviously true because of the tremendous amount of debt that they've got out there and that they're collecting, in many cases from, like a loan shark, collecting it from people that can't afford to pay it. And as the chairman pointed out, they use that, China uses that, to actually bolster their national security by controlling what happens in another country, which is 180 from what we do. So I think both of those points you made are really, really good points and really need to be underscored for all of us in the United States when we get to feeling badly about how things are degrading, and they are degrading in a lot of places, as we know. I do want to talk about a couple of things that you and I have talked about before, and that is, look, for years I've been saying we need to put UNRWA out of business, and we defunded them, as you know, in the 2025 budget, and I got to tell you, that is the majority view in Congress. I understand there's others that think that UNRWA is somehow there's some good parts of UNRWA. If there are, I haven't seen them yet. It's going to be really important because I really believe Congress is going to continue down that line. Now, the things that UNRWA does, that we have them do, we pay them to do, or provide the resource for them to do, are really important. They need to be done. The best example of that's in Jordan. What UNRWA does in Jordan is, with our money, is absolutely imperative with the millions of refugees they have there. The Jordanian government can't stand without that. So tell me about your efforts in that regard to identify other implementers, and I assume it's a begrudging transfer to other implementers. Tell me what you're doing. Give me some hope here.
Well, first of all, thank you for recognizing a couple of points that I made in my opening comments, and I agree with also your implied point, which is that our communications game lags behind the facts. And that's a challenge that all of us are facing in an environment of misinformation and a very cluttered media environment. But it is just so important. I think notwithstanding that point, which is a very good one, it's interesting to see the polling and the turn in public opinion as it relates to PRC lending and investment. It's also noteworthy that the PRC, in part because they are the debt collector, and a lot of the debts are not able to be collected because the interest rates were so high or because of COVID or for whatever reason, they're also pulling back a lot. If you look at Belt and Road investments, they're way, way down over the last few years, creating a huge opening for America's model of development. To UNRWA, I think to answer your question, first of all, USAID doesn't fund UNRWA, the State Department does, but we're one US government trying to mobilize a humanitarian response. USAID partners like World Food Program, UNICEF, Save the Children, International Medical Corps, are our implementing partners. They are the ones out there, of course, seeking to get convoys in to reach people who are facing desperate conditions. They do rely, as you well know, on the humanitarian infrastructure, and there is no ready substitute. And I think even maybe just pivoting to Jordan for a second, we can come back to Gaza, but it's not like another international organization or another NGO, in the sense that it is the school system for refugees in Jordan, who, as you know, I think it's 2 million kids are cared for by UNRWA-run schools. So you're talking not about what international organizations or NGOs normally, it's not like there's, you know, hundreds of thousands of teachers from elsewhere who are, you know, on standby waiting to get the call. It's an extremely complex question, but as you note, this is something that the Jordanian government does not have the fiscal space or the human capacity to take on. And so right now, other donors, notwithstanding the deeply alarming allegations and the investigations that are underway, most of them have resumed funding because of the indispensability of the services and because of the view that, notwithstanding, again, very, very problematic allegations against specific individuals in Gaza, that those allegations do not extend across UNRWA, you know, funding across the region. So, so right now, the UNRWA infrastructure is still being relied upon, including by USAID's partners. I would note that the government of Israel, even, you know, a month or two ago, or a month ago, said UNRWA cannot be involved in convoys inside Gaza because of course, the allegation, the infiltration with those individuals potentially. And they have had to change that position because there is no way to deliver food to prevent famine, further famine, without UNRWA at the heart of the response. So now UNRWA is able to be not leading convoys, but part of convoys, you know, in terms of how the government of Israel is engaging with that question. That is not, I'm not pretending that the government of Israel is embracing UNRWA, but I'm making a point more about necessity and the indispensability of meeting the humanitarian imperative.
Well, thanks for that. I got to tell you, I understand all the arguments, but look, if UNRWA's in, I'm out, period. I understand the arguments that, oh, they got to be there, blah, blah, blah. Look, you've seen the text, like I've seen the text. It's U.S. taxpayer money teaching these young kids, these young Palestinian kids, how to be a terrorist, and not only how to be a terrorist, but that it's their obligation under the religious practices and everything else. It's just sickening, to be honest with you. Then, of course, this thing that happened on October 7th, where they actually had members of UNRWA included in the attack on Israel. We got to go a different direction. So if UNRWA can't do it, too bad. I'm out. But I've had it with UNRWA, and I think a lot of my colleagues are in the same position. But in any event, my time's up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.